Hey up everybody and welcome back. Right, well, as I mentioned in a little note thing on last week's video, I'm off on our holidays, our vacation. Linda's dragging me off camping in our little caravan, or camper as they call it here. I'll show you that before the end of the video because it's a canny little thing. Linda bought it a few years ago. I don't think I've ever shown you it. It was built in the 50s on a 1947 Ford rear axle, hand built, and by sheer coincidence, when Linda was out with her grandchildren one time camping, this couple stopped and asked if they could look at the camper, and it turned out that the fella, his dad, had built it, so she got the whole story about this thing. Anyway, it's quite cute, so I'll show you it because I might need to fill in some of the end of the video because I've only got today in the workshop. So I think what I'm going to do is take the, oh, you'll notice I've got this standing on the floor. Hang on. So that's what it's going to look like on the ground, more or less. As I say, it'll sink down a couple of inches or so because of me sitting on it and the other way to the engine. But anyway, hopefully I'm coming back into frame. What's the saying? Oh yeah, so I'm going to take the engine and the gearbox out and we'll strip the gearbox. Because as you may remember, this engine and gearbox came out of one of the Pashley / Enfield / Indian, I suppose you would say, three-wheelers that were made for the Toronto police or somebody. So it's got reverse gear, and I've never seen the inside of one of these. I mean, I presume mostly it's going to be the same, but anyway, I can just work on that on the bench, and I know I can certainly get that stripped so we can have a look at it during the course of one day. If I've got any more time, what I might do is, since the engine and everything will be out, I'll do that welding and shaping for the footrests. So, can't think of anything else. Still getting new subscribers. We're 3,070 or something now. Still getting lots of great comments. Again, thank you for the ones who just give me a little pat on the back, which I really like. And all the other ones, I hope you're reading them, because like, for instance, on this last one, when I was doing the line, one chap whose name I can't remember again, sorry, pointed out that not all of the crankcase splits are on the centre line. I did mention that it wasn't all of them, but he even gave a couple of examples. Like, I should have mentioned myself, the BSA singles are off to one side and things like that. But anyway, you know, comments like that are really good, because quite often people tell me things that I don't know, because, you know, some of the people that might watch a particular video are because they're interested in that particular make of bike, and they have a lot more information than I do. So anyway, I'm blathering on again. Oh, I'm getting a new hat. My daughter's coming to visit in September, so I sent her an email and asked her to get me a new hat. So that'll be good. Right, let's do some stuff. All right. Well, this is almost going to be done in real time, I suppose. For those of you who worry about a bit of muck here, don't, because I'm not using these cases. I've got a nice pair of bead blasted cases. So first thing we'll do is take this off, which fortunately was loose. There's that, there's a little felt washer in there. Oh. Now then, for those of you who remember the Indian, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 splines. Remember the Indian had 6 splines, and actually that shaft was a little bit different sized. So that's that off. I'm going to keep sort of looking in the viewfinder there to see that we're still in view. As always, of course, whenever you've got studs, there's always one where the stud comes out instead of the nut coming off. So let's get that out of there. Again, for those of you who aren't Enfield people or who didn't watch the Indian, Enfields didn't make their own gearboxes. They were made for them by Albion, who also made gearboxes for Villiers, if memory serves me right, and probably lots of industrial type applications as well. So it's just bolted onto the back. BSAs on the 650s started off with a separate gearbox, like the Commando is, like the Nortons, and like sort of the pre-unit bikes. The gearbox would be mounted in plates which mounted to the engine, and then to tension the primary chain, instead of having a chain tensioner inside the chain case, what they would have is a top mounting and a bottom mounting. Well, the bottom mounting would generally be a pivot, and the top mounting would have like a turnbuckle thing in it, and it could move the gearbox backwards and forwards to tension this. So of course that meant that the chain case had to have like a slotted hole here, so they weren't brilliant for remaining oil tight. So when the unit construction came along, or as BSA did initially before they sort of cast the whole thing in one, you would actually bolt the gearbox to the back and give it a fixed length. Then you could make a solid chain case and it would be much better. So anyway, this is the way Enfield did it, and the way Enfield did it right through to the end. They never did make a completely cast engine gearbox unit, because they never made their own gearboxes. So this comes off like thus. And the other interesting thing with Enfields, for those who don't know them, is although they're dry sump, this is the oil tank. They did cast the oil tank in with the cases. So let's put that to one side. Come back to our gearbox. Alright, let's have a look, see what you can see. I might be able to zoom you in a bit here, seeing as the gearbox is smaller. But it's sort of keeping it in the picture, that's the problem. Let's have a look. What do we need to do? Drop you down a little bit. Alright, bear with me as I move this around. We'll try and keep you just... Ow! I just got my leg jammed under the bench. We try and keep you in view there. Alright, so we've got a few screws here. Take the precaution of slackening off a couple of things so that you're not twiddling your thumbs while our fight screws out. One of these is actually missing. Oh! Reverse gearbox. Hang on, let me take this out. This bump here is sort of the giveaway for reverse gear. On standard gearbox that would just be flat. That's the gubbins that gives us reverse instead of first gear. So here we are, standard Enfield gearbox. But you'll notice there's no gubbinses in there. What there would normally be is a sleeve here with splines on that the gear change shaft goes on, and then all the fork part is going in here, mounted on here to change this. But on the Pashley it was a hand change and it just went to there, so they didn't bother with all the positive stop gear change mechanism in here. So let's see, what have we got? Screws, one, this actual gearbox is stamped up G2, which is the reference to the engine, and then an R, -R. On one would presume the R stands for reverse. Just to show you before we go too far. There's the clutch operating mechanism. So the cable comes through the back, to a hole just there, to go onto that. and they've put a nice little hole for you to be able to hook that on. Then this is like a sort of big version of the BSA almost. Then down here is where the clutch rod goes, right through there. So when the cable pulls, it pulls that out. By the way, just shout out if I go out of picture. Okay, getting dirty again. Let's take this off. Okay. The bearing in there. That, I presume, is going to have to come off to get the shaft to come out so we can take this outer cover off. And that is what? Oh, I thought I'd kept a ruler here to measure these. That's about... No, I thought not. I thought it would be. That's loose as well. That's a left-hand thread. Okay. This gearbox doesn't turn. Well, it does just, but not much so. I never actually checked the gearboxes because I got 3 gearboxes and 2 engines. And funnily enough, a chap from British Columbia got in touch with me because he knew that Ray Macmillan, he knew that Ray had these gearboxes and had had them for ages, and suddenly he had a need for one. And of course he phones him up, and literally a week before I'd bought them all. But fortunately for him, I had 3 gearboxes and 2 engines, so I sent him one. But I never did really check to see which gearbox was better than which, so it's just pot luck what we've got. Hang on. This chair is a nuisance. But I've got pain in the calf of my left leg because I'd been working on the little Harley Hummer and that bastard would not start. But I finally got it all sussed and it's running. But it's got this nasty little kickstart with very little swing, and Harley have designed it so that you keep banging your foot on the footrest and things like that. I've got bruises on my toes, and then this morning when I got up, the muscles in my left calf, right at the top, just almost behind my knee, were very painful. So I've taken a tablet and I've rubbed some Bengay type horse liniment stuff on them. Seeing as it's muscles, I thought, what the hell. Well, this is coming apart. Oh, there's a bolt head there. Remarkably easily, isn't it? Which means that somewhere, at some point in time, there's going to be an absolute catastrophe. For instance, I'll take this cover off and there'll be masses of broken gear teeth in there or something like that. But, who knows, maybe I shouldn't be so pessimistic. You know, I'm constantly thinking how to keep you all in sight. I suppose I should get a socket for this really, shouldn't I? Ah, there we go. I've spoken to Buchanan's about getting the wheels done. So they know what's coming. No problem, they said. They can deal with that. But as Linda points out, I'm still living in the 60s, and the price of the wheel rims and stuff was just the alloy rims are, well, a pair of alloy rims is going to cost me near enough $500, whatever that is in pounds at the moment. 400 quid, what is it, 1.2 something? Then of course a set of spokes for each is going to be what, another $80, because I don't think I get a discount with them. So say another couple of $100 on top of that 500, and then they're going to be building them up for me. So it's going to be the thick end of $1,000 just for the pair of wheels. I should have just got myself a couple of Yamaha TY250 ones. Alright, what have we got? Anything in the back? No. So I guess if we just bump this with a soft hammer, we should be able to get it oofed. So let's see. Well people, why is everything coming apart so easily? Voila! Actually, this engine, that looks like the white sort of, it's like that Yamaha Bond. That looks like a modern sealant. So, now this is as far apart as it comes, so all of this has got to come out. I'll see if I can put some light in there, but I know sometimes the light is too bright and you can't see very well. But if I use the second setting on this, maybe this'll... How is that? Any better? This, you can't quite see it, is the détente. Let's try the small torch. Look, my daughter Vicky bought me this. It not only is telescopic, but the very last telescope is flexible. Is that clever or what? There you go. There's our gear change mechanism. Worked from this end up and down. So it's L-shaped, so when you press that up and down, the other part of it, and that goes down, that goes back, so on like that. Anyway, let's see if we can get it apart. Oh, let me check with you, because this runs sort of 20 minutes and then switches off. Yeah, we've got 4 minutes left. So, I don't see anything else. That, you can only just see it, is a slotted nut screwed on there, goes inside. Like a sort of, like the nuts on the Triumph and BSA clutches. It's got a slot in it, so I'll need a screwdriver to work that. But this is well stuck. Alright, let's give it a little bump and see what happens. See how... Oh, I guess we've got to take this off, because I think the whole thing must come out together. Alright. So I tell you what, while I clean this up and find a suitable screwdriver, I'll switch you off, and then when I switch you back on, we'll be starting with a new 20 minutes worth of video. Now then, I'm pretty sure my the special sort of split screwdriver. Oh, hang on. I was going to say I thought I left it. BSA drop. Yeah, I thought I went down to a friend of mine to take a. Oh no, there it is. To take the clutch off a Triumph. He doesn't normally deal with British bikes, but ooh. There it goes. But he wanted to put a new gearbox sprocket on one. This chap brought in the bike, it didn't go fast enough, so it was one of these people he couldn't really talk to. So Mike said, okay then, you know, we'll change the gearing. So he asked me about it. When I told him he had to take the clutch and the alternator and everything off, he was a little disappointed, so I said, not to worry, I'll come round and do it. And I thought I'd left that screwdriver there. Ooh. Oh, this is in tight. Oh, just put it up there so it doesn't spin, and I'll move it back into. Oh. Man. I've got to really keep the pressure in because this, seems to be going. There we go. I was going to say the cross slot started to break up. Now that's threaded on the inside and the outside. Take it, that must pull out. You would have thought maybe the idea was that if that, if that's threaded onto that a bit before the other thread catches. Is that the way? Ooh. What would be nice there? That's 1/4 inch, but I bet it'll probably be 1/4 inch BSC. Oh yeah, it's only threaded for the first few threads. That must definitely be to put that on there and be able to pull that out. But it's stuck. Hang on, let's give the inside a bit of a squirt in. As I say, that's pretty well stuck. Can we get to give that a pull? A pair of pliers do it. This course is the same gearbox basically as all the other Enfield, so let me have a little look. I've still got an Interceptor parts book. I'm pretty sure it's the same. So there's what we're looking at. There's that with the threaded on end. So it is just a shaft that goes right through that hole and that hole. So let's see if we can get it pulled out. Now I've taken the détente out of here, and that is rusted in solid. So I've just been looking in the parts book, and there aren't any circlips, there's nothing holding any of these gears on the shaft. So I should be able to pull them off. So what I'm going to try and do is pull them off one at a time and see if we can get into the actual gear change mechanism, the forks, and see what's why that pin won't come out. So this is coming off. I guess they just have never been off for a long time. This stuff notwithstanding, or maybe they took the cover off to see what was inside and then just put it back on. Who knows? I should put a socket on this as well. Never mind. What did I say at the beginning when those screws were coming out? Didn't bode well. Got itself a little skew width there. Can't pull things off if they're not coming off straight. They'll only bind. Don't keep at it. Oh, in fact, there we go. So there's the first one off. So we'll put that over there, that way down. Yeah, I can see rust in there. I don't see where I can get the legs of a puller in on this one underneath, on the other shaft. Oh, good, it's not too tight. Oh, the whole shaft is coming out here. Because I've got to get the hasn't really done us a lot of good. There's one of the gears behind. There's nothing holding anything together by the parts book. Everything should just slide off the shafts. So let me have a look, see what's what in there. Let's see, I can see plenty of rust on the teeth. I can't see any pitting, just, you know, loose rust that's binding things together. So let me switch you off for a couple of minutes while I'll look inside here with the torch. Now I think the reason why this cross shaft here won't come out is, I don't know if you can see, but it's thicker at both ends and thinner in the middle because it's virtually on a set of gears there. And it looks to me as if over time this end of it, you can feel it, has spread out. You know, it's sort of mushroomed as if you've been hitting it with a hammer, and now it won't go through the hole. So what I'm going to try and do is get a file in here and just work that edge until it's the right size to go through the hole. So let me have a go at that. Right, well, I filed it and I managed to get a little punch on the shoulder to just help it along, and here it comes. There we go. See, there was the culprit. It had started to just bulge out there. So I just filed that edge off and out it went. Actually, it almost looks as if it's bent. I might have to buy a new one of them. Buy another new thing. Oh God. Alright, so now we should be able to get everything out. Should, such a wonderful word, isn't it? So all that is holding us in now is this at the back side. And again, according to the parts book, there's nothing holding this in. That should just pop out of this bearing and the whole thing come apart. So I think what I'll do is see if I can find a piece of tube that will go around that. So rather than bumping on this end, we'll try and knock the whole thing through. So hold hard again. Now in one of those situations where things are working against each other. This shaft is stuck on this one, or should I say this is stuck on that shaft. So I'm going to put some releasing fluid through, see if we can't release that. The other thing is that although I took the pin out, see what you can see here, although I took the pin out of this mechanism so it's loose, the détente part is actually behind the boss where that screws in. it comes up like a little leg. So I still can't pull that out because that's catching on there. So I pulled this sprocket off, not sprocket, this pinion off, because I was, with it pulling out on the shaft, I was now able to get the puller behind it. But the shaft still doesn't want to come out. I've looked inside and I can sort of see the various splines, but even if I line them up, it still doesn't want to pull out. So there's obviously one pinion on there that doesn't come off like that. But it seems to be, you know, this won't come out the front until these shafts are out. But these shafts, of course, are on the plate here that goes in behind. So I think the key to it all is getting this shaft out, and then probably these gears will drop down, and once that gear's dropped down, I can drop down the actual selector plate, and then one thing after another will come out. So I will soak this up, and go away and leave it. It's about lunchtime. I can have an early lunch, and then we'll come back and see if we can free that up. Alright, it's freed up, and what I've been using on it is, this is a dead blow hammer with a brass end, so we won't damage the threads. Here you can see the gunge on it. Here it comes. Oh. There. Now then, got that out. So what else can we get out? Okay, let me keep fiddling. Look at this. Well, I was just jiggling it a bit, and the this part, whose name escapes me for the minute, came off the two little pins. So that is now loose. So this should come out. There we go. And then with that out, that will come out. And now, can you see inside there? Yep. See the, where is it? God, I'm all clarted up here. At the back there, there's the little gear that when these slide appropriately, that'll act as a jack shaft. Is that right, a jack shaft? And change the rotation of the output shaft. Stamped up inside, G2-R. So, lots of grunge in there. So we'll get this all cleaned up, and then you know, I'm going to leave it just as it is with a reverse gear. I might put a little stop on so you can't get it, but 3 gears is going to, for a 350, for an old-fashioned, for a long stroke 350 single trials bike, low compression, all the rest of it, 3 gears is going to be more than sufficient. I mean, all the Bantam guys are running around with 3 gears. Well, a lot of them are, unless they've put the 4-speed box in, but I have a couple of friends who ride the 3-speed ones and they don't have any problem. So there we go. There's the gearbox all apart. Get that all cleaned up. And then we can, well, actually we're waiting for stuff. But anyway, let me clean this up and I'll bring you back and we'll look at it again. So I'll give everything a good clean, and things slide now, which they didn't before. Slide and spin and etc. As you can see, there's that mechanism. I'm going to show you something about that in a minute. And there's the case cleaned out. Now then, I want to try and show you something here. A little bit of focus maybe. Bear with me. Okay, there we are. That bearing is shot, so I'm going to have to replace that. But will you notice that this is the reverse gear. Let me get something to point with. That's the reverse gear, or the gear to reverse the direction of the gearbox. As you can see, it obscures that bearing. But if we look round the other side, oh, it looks as, where are we? It looks as if the shaft is just pressed in, but round this side, well, there's where are we? There's a tiny hole there. Could maybe drill that out and get a punch in. So what I'm going to do is heat this case up and see if I can do that. I'll drill that out slightly so I can get a punch in there, and then we'll heat the whole thing up and see if we can get it out. But that's not too bad. Nothing looked too bad in there, and all the pinions, the teeth look good. But now let me show you something else, something really surprising. Right, let me see if I can really bring you in here. Again, bear with me. There is the cross pin that goes in there through that hole, cross and through that hole, and then on this side it goes into the case, just a blind end. Now look at the pin. You can see it's relieved in the centre, but then the two ends are the same diameter. Now look at that. It's almost worn away. That one's almost gone to nothing. You see it? And this end, look, is just the same. See how it's shouldered where it shouldn't be? That's why it wouldn't come out. I can't believe how much that's... A little while longer and that would have just snapped. So anyway, that's the gearbox apart. The outer casing is nothing special to look at. I showed you the this bearing. Let me pull your back out. This is getting very technical. Alright, this bearing actually is really nice. There's the kickstart escapement mechanism, and this, you see, is the gear change. That fits into that. Where are we? That goes in there like that. So when that moves up and down, it swivels that. It's no wonder Enfield gear changes are known to be poor. So again, I'll heat this up. I think I'm going to heat it up so I can get them all out, just so I can bead blast this and get it nice and clean. Alright, that's the gearbox done, and I'm about running out of time, so that might be the end of the video. Don't know. Let's see what else I can sort out. Well, I started to weld up the footrests, but I've run out of time, so I'm afraid. Do you like my little welding stand? So what I've done is, I shaped them and finished welding them on. So now what I have to do on the back side here is make up some little gussets to go, a couple of little triangular pieces, just so that that doesn't go over that way with the weight of the rider. So that's it for this week. I'm going to walk up to the house now, so on the way, as I say, I'll show you the camper. We'll go from there. So here it is, Mim's Whim. Mim is the nickname that Linda's grandchildren have for her. Made out of aluminium with plywood inside. Now the chap who built it was a television repairman, and that window you can see there is actually a television screen from the 50s. Now, as I say, it was built originally on a 1947 Ford rear axle, but I made a new chassis for it with suspension, and the sort of rack on the front is to put the trials bike on. So there it is. I'll show you inside. It's basically a double bed on wheels. I don't know how much you can see because it's a bit dark in there, but let's see, there's a bed, and that's about it. Alright, well, I'm going to go and pack my wellies and my bucket and spade, and I'll see you whenever, and in the meantime, enjoy yourselves.